Testing, testing. JB here, September 23rd, 2021. So just really quick first, some issues this morning trying to get the watch list up. The OM site was going on and off, so figured I'd do a quick blurb, kind of talk quick about the watch list just in case there's some issues accessing it so you can kind of see what I'm looking at today and go from there. First, I'll talk about Lending Tree, and I've been talking about this one for quite some time. The stock is over $200 off its highs, probably a little more than that. That whole sector has been on fire. Seems like every day you read some kind of article about how folks are bypassing traditional credit cards to make purchases online and in stores. There's rumors Visa's trying to come up with some kind of process where if you use the card to make a purchase at, let's say, a retailer, it'll give you options to do a 3 months payment as opposed to having to pay interest or put on your credit card account. Whatever that looks like in the coming months and years, Lending Tree, I mean, it's been probably the top platform for a while until all these other competitors came out. But it's first year-over-year decline in revenues. The last 2 quarters, it's finally starting to look like it's hit the bottom and it's going to rebound. And if it does, it's probably back into the mid 200s. So you had Stevens, a boutique analyst, come out this morning reiterating their buy rating, dropped their price target $100 to 265 from 365. But I still think that there's an opportunity there for at least a bounce, whether it be 40 to 50 bucks somewhere in there, and it will happen at some point. And hopefully it happens when I'm in the call. So it's what is it? Is it gapping this morning? The bid's 153.98. So if it starts to show some signs of breaking out, maybe over 156, I'll look to get some, probably the 185s. 180s are kind of expensive. That's typically not the way I trade things over $1.50 or so, though they are monthly option expirations. So that's Tree. BHC, so they're spinning off their Bausch and Lomb products. The company has had tons of debt. Of course, it's formerly known as Valiant Pharmaceuticals, so it has that stigma associated with it. But it's reversed that now. It's starting to look attractive on a risk-reward basis. I think it was Morgan Stanley came out 2 days ago with that upgrade, or at least reiterating overweight rating, $38 price target. Stock started to gap, ran in the morning, got the calls. I think maybe there were 35. When it opened yesterday morning, I had my calls up at 50 cents. I wasn't able to get fills on it. I think it was like 30 by 50, and then it just faded. And I don't want to lose my position, or at least turn red on a position, especially in a name like BHC, where it's not the most volatile name. It might move up 1% every day for the next couple of weeks, and I'll be kicking myself. But I'd rather not have to, watch that one tick by tick. So at some point, maybe I'll revisit. But I think it's a great story. They're also going to announce they already filed the IPOs for the spinoffs. You have to think that's just a net positive, and it's going to trade into the 30s and so forth. So that was the thought process behind getting Bausch and Lomb. At some point, I'll revisit. Calivo got those calls last week after the earnings. Insider buy. I think it was at 35 bucks. Avocado toast is not going away. There's been some issues with Calivo in regards to COVID and logistical issues. So the stock's ripped apart, down 50%. I certainly don't think the valuation is right down here. Probably in the mid 50s or so, if not higher in the coming months. Locks some of my calls in. If it gets back over, I think it was 41.92 was the high on Monday. If it gets back over that, I'll look for some 50 strikes, because I think at some point it's going to head into the 50s. That's that. So we have this. There's going to be a vote on cannabis banking, so they're going to figure this out. There's a lot of restrictions, and it's still a new kind of a lot of legality issues in regards to cannabis and what's been going on in the last couple of years. So I guess there's going to be some kind of banking reform in regards to cannabis that might be voted on this week. You saw some of those marijuana names soar yesterday. CGC, Tilray, which is actually doing a lot better this morning than it did yesterday. That looks interesting, but I'll probably, if these find a bit of CGC was at 14.30 yesterday, and I was looking at calls and it closed at 14.17. That one's just been destroyed, and that's probably one of the better names. So, you look both CGC. I think it's $500 million in revenues, $5 billion market caps for both CGC and Tilray. But CGC, I think, deserves that a higher multiple. So that would be the name I'd be looking for possible to play on calls. And then in sympathy with that, you look at Scott's Miracle-Gro. And then, as the cannabis sector becomes more, liberal, where all these other states are opening up and, folks are using products from Scott's Miracle-Gro to obviously help with the product, that just bodes well. And then not only that, Scott's Miracle-Gro is so far off its highs, it's just kind of shocking. And they just had an analyst day last week. But I think this heads back into the 170, 180 range, especially over the 50-day at 152.14. That's the thought process there on SMG. So maybe some calls at the open. If it 147, 148, I think it's been the level it hasn't been able to break through. So if we can get through that, I'll probably look for those calls. What else we have here? Yeah, take a look at the SPY yesterday. I mean, Powell comes out and it didn't really say anything unexpected. And I was almost at first thinking that, wow, the news that they might start taper in November, might be an issue. Then you saw the reversal. Stocks rallied and didn't close right at highs. It was close, right? And then you see some continuation today. And then the irony is that you have headlines this morning saying China's telling their local officials to prepare for a storm in regards to what's going on in their real estate sector. And, of course, the comedic part of this whole situation is it seems like every time there's an event, everybody on FinTwit is an expert. So now everybody's an expert in China real estate, but you see these headlines now fear-mongering around, is this the Lehman moment, right? Everybody talks about a Lehman moment, a moment that's just going to have just serious collateral damage across all different markets. And then sure enough, what happens? We have probably even worse headlines saying China's probably going to let this play its course possibly, and the markets and futures are higher and kind of shaking it off. So certainly something to watch. I remember, Glencore, if anybody remembers Glencore issue in Europe, Glencore was one of the biggest conglomerate companies supposed to have, one of these, I wouldn't call it too big to fail, but all of a sudden they were so indebted, the price of copper and all the commodities was going down. The company was going to go bankrupt. They had to backstop the debt, and they thought Deutsche Bank was involved and all these other companies in Europe, and this was going to be the black swan event that was just going to have serious impacts across the globe. And now nobody talks about Glencore anymore. And I'm not going to say this similar situation is going to happen with what's going on now, but it's just kind of just ironic how this all works out. Just goes to show you a lot of these publications look for clickbait. So people want to hear, hey, what's going on? And of course I do too. Of course I read this stuff, but it's very easy to get caught up in those things. What else? Oh, Intercept all the way down. I think at 14 and change Tuesday. Found a bid 1577 yesterday. Hopefully that starts to get going. WOW started to go, and I have the October strikes, but they're 0 by 5, so gonna need a huge move on those. But I'll probably wait to add anything on Wide Open West. I think that's it. 9 minutes to the open. Oh, BlackRock. Did I talk about BlackRock? No, I didn't talk about BlackRock. But take a look at BlackRock. When I look to play financials, BlackRock's it's my ticker of choice. I just think it's such a great company. It's not as much risk because they're not so much impacted by raising. If rates rose, they're not lenders per se. So I just think it's a great company. And it's down over $100 since its September highs. I'm not saying it goes back up $100, but it's certainly an opportunity. Maybe it gets to 880, 885 this week. So I might look for some lottos. Of course, tomorrow's Friday, so it would have to go up 10 or 15 today, 10 or 15 tomorrow. But you take a look, that's only 1.5% each day, which is not outside the realm of possibility. So I'll be looking at BlackRock. Always looking at Twilio and Spotify. Those are some nice lottos on Fridays. You can see Twilio's back over 350, so maybe some 360, and Spotify's at 237. So definitely be looking at those. I think that's it, folks. This will be up on, I'll recorded, so it'll be up on the, if you missed the start, I'll be up on well, actually, I probably won't post it on this website because it's been having some issues this morning, so I'll probably just post a Vimeo link. Let's have a great day, folks. I'll be back. Rock and roll.